Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, taking a look at the XF-85 Goblin. What is this thing, you might be thinking? This is the new Tier 9 premium fighter that Wargaming just released for World of Warplanes. This aircraft is a parasite fighter that would deploy from a mothership, otherwise a bomber in most cases, and it would then rejoin with the mothership using this hook you can see in the top right hand corner that would kind of unfold from the front of the airframe. Now, during testing, they tried to get this thing to rejoin back up with the mothership on several different passes, but the turbulence caused by the bomber and some other unforeseen circumstances caused it to have trouble linking back up reliably, and as a result they decided to forego the project, and it was going to cost weight anyway, so they're going to lose bomb loads, so I guess it makes sense to decide to drop the project. But this thing actually existed, they did produce it. It is a very small aircraft. You can see it's just a guy sitting on top of an engine. It's probably, if not the smallest aircraft in the game, relatively close. Which means it's going to be harder to hit, which is always good, considering that this thing has 100 less hit points than the FJ-1. And the reason I'm comparing it to the FJ-1 is, well, it's the other Tier 9 fighter that is available in the game. There is the F6U Pirate, but I don't think that that's a fair comparison. This aircraft sports 4 M3 50 cal machine guns, which are the same machine guns that you get on the FJ-1 and the Sabre, but there's only 4 of them instead of 6, and at first you might be thinking, well, that's a definite downside. The thing doesn't have nearly as much damage output. But you can see here against this RB-17, we have very little problems being able to take him out. Some of this can be attributed to some of the pieces of equipment I put on the airframe, as well as the skill points. I mentioned in one of my videos, do you really need to have accuracy with machine guns? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean it doesn't help. It's going to get more of those shells to land on target. That video is more about optimizing maneuverability in order to be able to stick onto a target better, but this doesn't seem to have too much of an issue with it, and I've been having a good time with it so far. We do have radio sight on here, which is the aiming modification piece you can put on this particular airframe, giving it, I believe it's a 15% boost to the accuracy of the guns. And then I also have Marksman 1 on here, which is boosting it even further, which allows more of these rounds to make contact with the target earlier on. Whoop. So we did get hit there, but only in a brushing pass. Must have been hard for him to get on target with us. The aircraft accelerates very, very well, and it climbs better than the FJ-1 does. Just a little bit, but that's saying something, considering the FJ-1 is like a rocket ship. This thing is so small and so light that the little bit of thrust that's added to it with the engine tuning, and we also have Engine Guru 1 and 2 on here, allows this thing to just rocket up to its top speed. And it cruises pretty comfortably at around 380 miles an hour when it's at its normal altitude, which is 8,500 feet. But when I slam on the boost, this thing can get almost up to 500 miles an hour plus. I mean, you saw just an example there, and we were already at 9,000 feet, so I should have decreased engine performance, and here I am zipping around like you wouldn't believe. Now I'm pretty much done with dealing with these RB-17s. I'm going to work my way down to lower altitude and try and engage some other fighters. I'll make an initial pass on this RB-17 with the hopes that I might light them on fire. Guess not. So I'll work my way down here and start actually dogfighting so we can showcase some of the maneuverability traits. It might not seem like much, but the roll rate is going to make it easier to be able to make a sudden turn in any particular direction, so you'll see how quickly this thing just rolls over. It's just an almost immediate response, and I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that this aircraft essentially has 6 tails on it. I mean, look at that thing. It's ridiculous. It looks almost like a bomblet, like a little bomb with wings. It's, I don't know, it's like Scooty Puff Jr., or Scooty Puff Sr., if you would, for those of you who get the Futurama reference. But zipping around at over 500 miles an hour, we're able to turn pretty easily with a lot of these other aircraft, and if we don't like the engagement, we can just hammer down on the throttle, instantly accelerate, and get out of this situation. And we're managing to maneuver with this Japanese fighter pretty well right here. There we go. and get the guns on target. Now, if you guys had to opt to get a premium aircraft, would I suggest buying this? The answer, in short, is going to be no. I think it's a great plane to have, but for the money, I'd say currently there's a Chinese fighter that's available that Slay describes as a unicorn. It only comes out every so often, and I'd suggest getting that over this. The reason I say that is Wargaming said that this is a reward aircraft, and you should be able to get a series of missions released with it that are going to allow you to acquire this through effort. So I highly recommend that you guys take the time and consider your options carefully before you decide to drop, $70 on this thing. It is nice to have a 9-point captain, however, or pilot. So with that, this is pretty much over, so let's go ahead and hit up the endgame results screen and see exactly how many credits this thing actually has the capability of earning. Okay, wow. Taking a look at the end results screen, we can see running a premium account, we're able to get 385,000 credits and 29,995 XP. Now bear in mind that this is also due to the XP fever, and I forgot to click the convert crew to accelerate crew button. Okay, so I could have gotten a whole bunch of that for my pilot, but this is a great way for being able to train up a crew and make a ton of credits, which is not surprising. A tier 9 premium is relatively unprecedented, and it's something that came about with World of Warships, so this being the first one available definitely will have some serious potential for credit income. And I'd say that this thing plays a lot like my FJ1. It feels very similar in a lot of aspects, but let's go ahead and draw a little bit of a comparison here. So turn time, 10 seconds, altitude performance, overall airspeed and survivability. So granted, it has less power on the guns, but if we were to go ahead and take a look here at the FJ1, 70, 72. So the airspeed and the maneuverability comparison, there's a 2-point difference. Survivability is only slightly less on this airframe, and we'll pull it up in a second to get a real comparison between the two. And then the gun armament obviously is going to be less. It's about a third, right? Because you only have 4 of the 50 cal machine guns instead of 6. But with the overall maneuverability and high speed, this thing's really able to stick onto a target and use those guns effectively, and its relative small size makes it a real bugger to try and shoot down. I'd say that the survivability isn't as much of a deficiency as they make it out to be, because they offer you, improved covering as part of one of the bonus items, this improved covering right here, but I didn't think that was entirely necessary. I decided to opt for improving the gun accuracy. So I mentioned in one of my videos, is accuracy really needed with machine guns? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean that it isn't nice to have. If I have the option, I'm still going to throw it on here because it's going to increase the chance of those rounds hitting and give me a better chance for time to kill. So I think that with the improved radio sight and having Marksman 1 on here, which the FJ1 doesn't have any of these modifications, that they're relatively comparable to one another when it comes to damage output, at least enough that I didn't notice a major difference. Now, we air superioritied, so that happened to be a very quick match, but you can see here that 9 targets destroyed, not too bad, and with this nifty new system right here, I wanted to emphasize that you get more points for damaging targets than you do for destroying targets. You can see here we got 7,000 personal points and some change for damaging aerial targets. It's located midway through this list. I think it's the 4th subsection down, if you can kind of see the shadowed lines delineating each one of the sectors on this spreadsheet. But then at the top, for aircraft destroyed, it's only 1,800. So yeah, there's some points to be had, but that's not where the lion's share comes from. You don't notice it while it's happening, but when you're damaging a target, there's the personal point indicator on the right-hand side that's constantly ticking up for the damage caused. You also get a bonus here that should be noted for participating until the battle ends. So they do punish you if you leave the match early, so that's one of the things to pay attention to. I'm not sure how that affects your experience gain, but I'm sure it's worth something there. Yep, and we got a couple of medals here. We managed to destroy 8 aircraft. It says 9 here. Alright, I guess something's missing. Oh, we burned one out. So we destroyed 8 with just the guns, and 1 we managed to burn out, and that's where that difference comes into play. Yeah, overall, great match. Managed to get 400 capture points, excuse me, and that was able to get us the Akamatsu medal, which is nice to have. And yeah, we managed to be top of the team. I do feel bad, Max S28. This was kind of a bad matchup for you to be in a tier 8 multi-role against my aircraft. I definitely had the upper hand just with this being such a ridiculous airplane to have, and I'm sure you probably were surprised to see it since this has only been out for, I'm guessing, a few hours at this point. I checked the store yesterday and I didn't see it, so this must have just popped up this morning. I saw it on the feed and I figured I might as well pop up a video for you guys. So like I stated in the video, this is supposed to come out later as a reward, so there'll be a series of missions to do in order to get this airframe, but I figured I'd buy it now, and the opportunity to get some gold and a pilot with 9 skill points was something I really didn't want to pass up, because that's just time that I would like to get back, and I would be willing to pay that money forward in order to get some time, and I feel like I may get frustrated with some of the missions, so I just blitzed through and purchased it. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna pop this one up as an urgent release. That way you guys can check out what this plane has to offer and make the decision for yourself. Or if you want to hold off, at least you know what's awaiting for you in the future. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you didn't like in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.